I hope you are doing well on this day, afternoon or night. The following compilation I bring is the third part of Bocata's personal experiences. For those who don't know him, he is a writer from the channel. Originally from Argentina, he has collaborated with us for quite some time, but only last year he decided to tell us a couple of extremely personal experiences. Believe me, they are very interesting and this third part will prove it to you. I hope you enjoy it as much. How I knew about inheritance. Shortly after starting law at the university, my classmate was renting a room in a siren and the protagonist of this story occupied one of the many rooms in the house. Playing ball, we started to get along. Hernan at that time was advanced in his career. He was in his fourth year, if I'm not mistaken. Another interesting fact is that Hernan was also from Salta, like me. Parties, gatherings to eat roasts, late nights with the Play 2 with Pro Evolution Soccer 6 championships. All this that I am telling helped us to become friends again. Hernan was a good guy, but you already saw. He had something that didn't quite convince me. My friend wanted many things, but many things. Once, half drunk, how much do you put to chat and discuss anything? I asked what his dream was and he replied that it was to be a millionaire. What is envy? I like the definition of St. Augustine of Hippo. Envy is sadness at the good of others. And Hernan suffered from wanting to have so many things. I'm going to achieve it, you'll see, I'm going to have everything I once said. He told me that night when we were both drinking a little something late at night. Time passed to the beginning of 2015 and Hernan, upon graduating, immediately left for Salta. We lost contact for 2 years until I saw him again in January 2017. He was on vacation walking through the center of the city. In my cross Hernan, we gave each other a hug of good friends. The obligatory coffee came out to catch up. There I found out that he had specialized in civil law and criminal law, that it was difficult to start, but there he was, little by little. We promised to keep in touch, but promises are broken and Hernan and I broke it. We stopped talking again and time passed and each one did his own thing and honestly I tell you that I completely forgot about him. The pandemic arrived, then the post-pandemic, in January 2021, again in my province, walking through the center, I meet Hernan again. And how are you doing? Are you about to graduate? Asked my friend while we sat at a table in a cafe. We're getting there, less and less is missing. I don't want to tell you a date because they pass. Thanks. If you graduate and come back to Salta, count on me to take off. I don't know much, but I can help you with something. Okay, brother, I thank you in advance. And how was the litigation going? I asked. There's no butter to throw at the ceiling, but it gives you enough to live on. Every now and then some cases come up and you can bite. Well, he said this and remained silent. Abruptly, something happened. I messed up one of my own and had a bad time. You made lawyers look bad again. Something like that. If I tell you what happened to me, would you believe me? I believed my ex. So I can believe in you, friend. I think it was around the middle of 2018. Around the middle of July, an old lady called me to ask for a consultation. The old woman was over 80 years old, she was lonelier than a crazy person. Her husband had died more than 20 years ago in a traffic accident. The guy was driving his car and, crossing a traffic light, ran over a motorcycle. The driver of the smaller vehicle did a pirouette in the air and fell vertically to the ground. The force of the impact was so great that the helmet broke into thousands of pieces. Dona's husband approached to see the boy and at that moment, boom, a sudden heart attack. The motorcyclist was his son. The old man's heart couldn't take the shock and so Mrs. Matilda was left without her family, without her husband and without her son. In a second she was completely alone in this world and at this point in the story I come in. Matilda called me to arrange the papers of the house. After being left alone, she became very close to the church and, as a last act of will, after dying, she wished with all her might that the house be donated to the Catholic Church. I messed up, I took advantage of the poor old woman, we became friends and I took advantage. I had her sign some papers giving me full power as her attorney, I drafted a will benefiting a person I trust and, with the help of a notary, we made a mess. Matilda, all that was left was to wait for time to pass. Matilda got sick and, before dying, I went to visit her at her house. As if she knew all my plans, she insisted again and again that I should fulfill her will, that the house had to be for the church no matter what. Then I didn't see her anymore and I took a month's vacation. When I came back, I found out that the woman died in her bathroom. She slipped and hit her head on the shower faucet. She was unconscious, but the blow didn't kill her. She died drowned in the water of the tub. The worst of all is that, being alone in this world, the dog missed her and the old woman was in the water for 10 days. The neighbors called the police because of the foul smell that flooded the block. In the file it was stated that the body swelled so much that, at the time of picking it up, it came off in pieces. Do you realize? Almost like a pendulum. Matilda's body became viscous, may she rest in peace. I started jumping on one foot because the house was mine. I moved all the succession opening papers and after a few months, they gave me the deed to the property. I fixed a couple of things here and there and moved in there permanently. It's a horror story. You couldn't bear the burden of conscience. I interrupted Arno while he finished his coffee with milk. Stop, now I'll get to the point. Burden of conscience, that's the least of it, friend. A month after living there, strange things started happening. Noises late at night. All the time you felt watched. The shower faucet would open in the early morning. I swear I kept the bathtub plug, but it always flooded and the tub overflowed, filling the bathroom with water. I had nightmares with Matilda. She didn't say anything to me, she just looked at me very angry, pointing at me with her index finger. One night I woke up with a strong urge to go to the bathroom. I went half zombie to the bathroom and when I entered I see that the tub is full of water. But the water was very black, like rotten, giving off a bad smell. I said to myself in my mind, enough is enough, I have to get out of here as soon as possible. And seeing that the tub was going to overflow at any moment, I reached in to pull the plug. With half my arm in the water, I felt someone grab my wrist and pull down hard, friend. I started screaming and kicking like crazy. I pulled my arm out and there as I left that damn place. At dawn, I arrived at my parents' house and even then I didn't want to give in. I started scheming. The only possible solution would be the sale of the property. I lied to my parents to stay a few days at their house. Night came, I went to sleep peacefully and in my mind I imagined that being away from Matilda's house nothing was going to happen to me, but it was a big mistake. Very early in the morning, with a strong urge to urinate, I got up, went to the bathroom and was doing my thing and I felt a horrible and cultural voice penetrating my ears. I felt cold water on my feet, I raised my head, the tub was overflowing again. I froze when I saw a swollen face emerging from the black waters, a horrible, pale face with a macabre smile. I don't remember anything else and I only regained consciousness in my mother's arms. That same day I went to a witch and she told me what I already knew. Matilda was not going to leave me in peace nor rest if I didn't give the house to the church. In less than a week I moved heaven and earth to donate the property and get my things out of there. I understood that you don't play with the dead. I would like to say that my friend Hernan changed. However, the reality is different. 3 years have passed since that distant 2021. In January 2024 we met again. To find this time not by chance since we contacted each other on purpose. My friend leads the same life as always, full of luxuries, opulence, beautiful women and other excesses. He left civil law and dedicated himself fully to criminal law. He is the lawyer of the drug trafficking bosses in the north of Salta, on the border with Bolivia. What else can I say? My friend is the lawyer of Dr. Miguel Gonzalez. I started as a horror writer in early 2015, posting regularly on the extinct internet page arena.net. However, if we have to be. My first publications are located in December 2014 in a Facebook group called Juju Y Paranormal. I never imagined doing this, it just happened and since then I haven't stopped. Well, that's a way of saying because I take my breaks every now and then. I think that of the batch of role-playing story writers, yes, the least productive, but we're getting there. Sometimes we come up with good gems, as is the case of April Breeze. This hobby led me to meet a lot of people passionate about esotericism and, for that reason, in 2016 I started a WhatsApp group with Taringa users. Among the many people who joined, it is worth mentioning Dr. Miguel Gonzalez, who specializes in forensic medicine and psychiatric medicine. Miguel is a guy prepared to the hilt. He graduated as a doctor at the age of 23 and immediately joined Doctors Without Borders. After this, he joined the Spanish Army. It goes without saying that he traveled half the world for his profession until he arrived in Costa Rica and fell in love with a tica, started his family and took root in the Caribbean, in the Antonio Channel and on the fan pages published one of his stories called Limbo. The story is not wasted and I recommend it if you want to have a good time. However, taking advantage of the space, this time I am going to relate 3 unpublished stories of my friend Dr. Miguel. He comes from a family of a long tradition where everyone is a doctor. It started with his great-great-grandfather and they didn't stop, and this was clarified to us in one of those many nights when the group got spicy. Mike, this story didn't happen to me, but I know it by heart because he always told it as something curious in the life of Petronilo, my great-grandfather. My relative studied medicine and graduated around 1899. His father insisted that he should stay with him in the city, but Petro had other plans. He wanted to go for 2 years to a lost village in Valencia to gain experience and thus avoid people saying that he had everything from above. Castel de Cabres was Pet's destination and at present the town has less than 50 people, but in the last century it had more inhabitants. My great-grandfather had a hard time. At the beginning, the people